Hey y'all, my name is LeviGlavin. I use he series pronouns. I currently work at Colorado State University as the Associate Director for Operations and the Student Experience in the Hub, which is the student service, the department for financial aid, registration, housing, dining, and billing. So we're a service heavy environment. Shout out Ian, who's also in this class, is one of my team for counselors. But that being said, I've worked at CSU for the past 3 years. I've worked in higher education for just shy of a decade now. I've done service and support for students the whole time, and it's a career that I've come to know and love very deeply, which is why I'm in the SAHI program to begin with. Um, my prior career before this was actually teaching, so I taught for a little while. I really loved it, but wanted to transition more towards the higher education sphere. I thought maybe I'd want to teach in college, but ultimately that transitioned sideways. Anybody that you've ever met that works in the Office of Financial Aid will always joke and say, like, you don't plan on going there necessarily, you kind of end up there. And the same was largely true for me, but that being said, I fell in love with it. I think that the work that I do with the hub when it comes to supporting students through financial aid registration, all of that stuff is vital. It's completely like it's 100% necessary for students' experience. So I find a lot of value in it. But that being said, coming to sharing a memory for my first year in college, I think what really jumps out to me is even before the start of college, the first thing that I remember was sitting in a public library because I didn't have a computer at home and filing the FAFSA. It was myself and my girlfriend at the time. Didn't know what I was doing. I had a pile of taxes. Didn't know what any of the forms meant. I kind of slogged through it. I don't know if I even did it right, to be honest. Submitted it and sent it off to Front Range Community College, where I attended. And for better or worse, attended there, started my college career at 18 without really much guidance or direction. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Thought maybe I wanted to be like massage therapist at the time. Now that I look back on it, that's pretty funny to me. I also thought maybe I'd want to be an architect. I don't know. I was kind of listless and just kind of a 18-year-old without a really good idea of like what I was going to do or where I wanted to be. And then picked all of my classes and just kind of started attending community college without any grand idea of what I needed to do or where I needed to be or any of that. Started working at the exact same time, supporting myself, moved out, tons of life changes all simultaneously, much like everybody else's story here. But truly, the sense of like self responsibility uh, didn't kick in until like my mid 20s, but I was fully like responsible for myself after 18. I lived on like on our own. So yeah, it I think it was just the overwhelmingness of it all, especially at 18, where my brain was only like maybe half formed, so I didn't have a good idea of anything that I was doing or why. So why that all was a big deal to me is it felt like an expression of freedom and an understanding of the future that I could have. Just shortly prior to starting college, I had rolled a car and almost died, and that really made me think about like what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be, and bit by bit, I've kind of picked on and thought that through. As far as challenges and support on college campuses and universities, there are an infinite number of supports. One of the challenges with that is students not really knowing how to navigate that efficiently. That's why I'm so excited about the work that we do in the hub, is because we're part and parcel of like helping students navigate that and better understand the resources that they do have available to them. But the challenge also is that sometimes students, when they do contact those support areas, they don't necessarily know what questions to ask. I mean, like just like I was when I was 18 filing my FAFSA, I didn't know what I needed to ask and I didn't know who to ask. A lot of the inaccessibility of higher education is involved in the jargon that we often use. We tend to be pretty inaccessible. We love to shorten words that don't need to be shortened and create barriers on accident for students when we come to explaining the stuff that they need to know. So that's something that I take pretty seriously in the work that we do in the hub. As far as some of the challenges and supports on campus that helped me grow and develop, I think the biggest was the community that I came to find, the instructors that I really, really enjoyed and found a lot of value in their content. I wouldn't have become a teacher if it wasn't for one professor in particular who found like who really solidified how awesome education can be and like revolutionized my understanding of how teaching can look. Obviously, I went a different direction with my career, but I still find myself to be at least education adjacent, which I appreciate. As far as challenges and supports that helped me grow and develop, like I said, it's community. I think one of the hardest challenges for me was actually student support offices. I had one or two experiences, even at CSU while I was an undergraduate, where the inaccessibility and the frustration that I felt after I left the offices made me feel like maybe this isn't my place, maybe this isn't meant for me, maybe I'm not higher education material. And then jokes on me, here I am a couple decades later doing the exact same thing, but trying to do it in a different way so that I can support students and help my team support students in a different way, make it feel more holistic and natural and less like we bite you and we'll say a bunch of jargony nonsense at you. But in any case, I'm in love with higher education. If you can't tell, I think that there's so many challenges that we can address, and I'm excited to see where this class takes us and those understandings. But there's also a ton of support. So like I said, I'm just excited for this course. Nice to meet y'all though.